Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be breaking down the Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood launch trailer. Now this actually launched earlier this morning over on PlayStation's channel, and then Square Enix went ahead and posted their 5 videos in all the different languages as well. Now we're basically going to be picking apart certain scenes, what's happening, predictions based on what we see, as well as some of the combat segments talking about the Susano and the Lakshmi parts. I was kind of debating whether or not I wanted to do this video, especially because I'm doing a few other things this afternoon. But a lot of people kept asking me on Twitter, on my YouTube comments, as well as during my live stream, are you going to do this? You got to do this. So here I am doing this, although we might have a few cuts because, like I said, I'm doing some other things on the side, including an AMA on Reddit while I'm trying to record this. So before we get started with the breakdown, just a couple of things. For one, we are not going to be having any audio during this video, and we're going to be starting and stopping constantly to dissect the individual parts. So if you want to actually see the trailer itself uninhibited without my voice or any input, I'll include a link in the description of the video. On top of that, spoiler warning, I technically don't consider a trailer that has story elements in it spoilers, because a lot of things can look like they're going one way or maybe lead to a definitive conclusion on how that situation is going to end. But without the before and after, just looking at an isolated incident without actually pulling together all the right information. So I just want to say spoiler warning if you don't want to see cutscenes from Stormblood, if you don't want to know what even an inkling of what might happen, that will be spoiled for you in this trailer. So just want to put that out there. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Now, while it plays out some of the earlier parts, I do want to say that I wasn't as hype from the Stormblood launch trailer as I was for the Heavensward one. While the musical score for the Stormblood trailer is fantastic, it didn't really hype me up the same way like the Ravana scene did from the Heavensward launch trailer, something like that. But as you can see, it does convey the war aspects pretty accurately. I do get a very war-ish feeling, like some really dark things are going to be happening in this trailer. We also get to see, once again, Garian occupied Ala Mhigo. These first bunch of scenes have some audio over them, the main theme being liberty or death. Either we are free of their grasp, or we're going to die trying. And that's something that was evident in the trailer for Revolutions, where you actually see liberty or death written on the side of a building. Stormblood, by the way, roll credits. So the first few scenes we see are the different, well, I gotta pause this one, we see a lot of clashing between us and the Garlands. My cat just scared me. He just scratched the door right outside. But the first thing is, this enemy is from Final Fantasy VI. I think this is a boss enemy, the Mage Master, I believe he was called. And we see quite a few Final Fantasy VI and other character models that are representing earlier Final Fantasies as well. I think there's a Final Fantasy VIII one later as well. So it's cool to see him. We've seen that scene before. We have the Road Rasher, I feel like his name is, also a Final Fantasy VI enemy that looks like we're going to be seeing. Now, I'm wondering what level this dungeon is right here. I'm wondering if this is one of the early dungeons we're going to be taking place in, or if this is something closer to what we'll be experiencing at level 60. It's the very beginning of the trailer, so you'd want to imagine that it's one of the first dungeons we'll go to, like right inside, like we'll go right to war with Ala Mhigo, and this will be the first level 61 dungeon we get to experience. We know the level 63 dungeon is the underwater one, so it's just hard to tell. Oh, and here we go, and then this guy, oh, what's that guy? I can't remember. This guy's familiar as well. I know exactly. Is that another Final Fantasy VI enemy? I've fought this guy so many times, and his name is escaping me. But he's probably the last boss of the first dungeon. No, I can't remember his name. Oh, it's killing me. Guys, post the name of this guy. He's another enemy from an old Final Fantasy game. I remember exactly what his sprite looks like, but I can't remember if it's Final Fantasy VI or not. It's just he's not fresh on my mind. That's going to be interesting, though. So as you can see, a lot of inspired bosses from some of the earlier Final Fantasies. Considering how often the Garlands, Magitech is their big thing, having all those Final Fantasy VI references where the term Magitech comes from is a pretty normal thing to expect. You could see a bunch of black mages banding together, blasting the gates. You can see some of the allied forces also there, blasting the entrance in order to make an attack against the Garlands. At this point, you get to hear a little bit of the voice acting from Xenociate Galvus himself, and you also get to see that badass katana sheath that has all the different ones in there spin around and him pull them out. And we do get a very heightened sense of the danger factor that Xenociate Galvus actually has in this story. So this scene right here, I can't tell if this is Rhalgr's Reach, but this looks to be almost like the Empire coming to squash Rhalgr's Reach and you know, put out the Ala Mhigan resistance. We see he swings an attack at Lys here, who then gets knocked back. We see Hilda walking with some of her warriors. Now this scene, I had a ton of people asking me about during the live stream, even though I hadn't seen it yet. So this scene right here is familiar from anyone who saw the Revolutions trailer. However, we now get to see this scene pan out, and Y'shtola's barrier was not strong enough to keep back his blade. One of the important things here is that he slices clean through Y'shtola, and she's bleeding out the mouth, and she looks like she's about to pass out. So everyone's saying that they just spoiled Y'shtola's going to die. I'm a firm believer Y'shtola is actually not going to die. She is the poster child of this game in Japan, and on top of that, she is Final Fantasy XIV's representation in Dissidia. So while I do think Y'shtola's you know, health issues on top of this scene, the other issues she's having from the 3.x series are going to come to a forefront here, I don't think she's actually going to die anytime soon. That's just my prediction, but again, I feel like that scene is a red herring. I mean, right here, we're being attacked by Xenociate Galvus as well. If anything, we could presume that maybe we're dying in this scene right here. And then you also have a member of the Resistance just literally put to death by Hilda 2 seconds later. So again, a really dark themes here, and I'm loving it. I love seeing these kind of dark themes. Ishgard, I felt, was going to be dark themes, and that never really panned out all that well. So it's great to see that they are taking it in that direction. Now we move over to the authored side of things, where we have Kugane and we have Yangjia, we have Yatsuya. There's a Yatsuyu? No, I think it's Yatsuya. I can't remember. And then we see some underwater with Alice, the warrior of light. Who else is in that scene right there? I need to go back a little further. So we see Alice jump into the water. We see us, we see Lys, and we see a Kojin. And he's on our side, by the way. So we already know that what are they called? I can't remember the name of the beast tribe. The Ananta. We already know that the Ananta are going to be working together with the Ala Mhigans. We have seen in the benchmark trailer especially that the Kojin are going to be working together with us to some degree as well. So it's possible we don't yet have the trust of all the Kojin, and that we're going to have to develop trust with them, because it does look like the Imperials are calling the shots with some of the Kojin as it is. One of the big things for me, though, is they take these ancient relics that look like they have a lot of ether built up, and you can see this is where they summon Susano, or Susano-O, depending on you know, what region of the world you're from. By the way, the short stumpy legs crack me up. We can't really see much mechanic-wise. We see a big AoE here and them fighting them, but it's a lot of lightning all over the place, being the Lord of Revel and anything. Looks like that's going to be a big theme. Now, one interesting thing is right here. You can see that a big version of Susano spawns and does like a downward slash. Now we see as a samurai blocking the attack. Obviously, you're not going to need a samurai for the encounter, so I'm wondering if it's something along the lines of like with Arc, where it's one of those, you know, timed button press things. I say timed button press for Arc. Barely timed. He had a ton of time to do it. I'm wondering if that's how it's going to be with the Susano fight. In order to deflect this giant attack, everybody needs to contribute by pressing the button at the right time or something like that. But it does look really badass. We also have Lakshmi, which is going to be the Ananta's one. And she has a lot of orbs, and then she does this, which is creepy as heck. Because she has the invincibility shield around her, I'm wondering if this is like her ultimate attack or has anything to do with her ultimate attack. This giant visage of her that she's created. Or if it's some other mechanic. We can also see 2 lilies right here. So Lakshmi is a confirmed white mage, and then it looks like she expends her lilies on one of her abilities right here. It's not a size, so I don't know which one she spent it on. I'm just saying they look cool, but we can't really draw a whole lot of mechanical aspects about them. Only the 2 flowers that we see with Lakshmi and the blocking mechanic that we see over with Susano. I always say Susano. Susano, I think it is. Or Susano? Susano? I don't know. Listen, look at me, all right? Look at this. You know nothing's right about this, all right? By the way, that's a really cool sprint animation. That's something we haven't really gotten to talk about. All the jobs got new sprint animations. So when you log in, sprint with your weapon out and see how badass it looks. For me, the Ozim Steppe is still the most hype zone that I'm looking forward to in the expansion. I just love the open feel of it. Even though with flying, you're going to fly over a lot. I love the way that it looks. We also have Hien right here. You also have Gosetsu right there. And it looks like, you know, a bunch of commoners challenging some sort of supply post or something like that, trying to take it down. We saw this in the Revolutions trailer as well. By the way, this looks to be another dungeon of some kind. And I think this is going to be the dungeon where Yatsuyu is actually located. It's the main base on the other side of the world, similar to the dungeon I think is the level 61 dungeon. This will probably be when we're taking down one of the major outposts in the east, as well as one we had in the west. You can even see those what are they called? I'm just going to say those traps over there that actually shoot as you try to run by. So we're seeing more dungeon hazards, which isn't that uncommon nowadays, but it's still cool to see them. I always like dungeon hazards. Another scene that we've seen before. Then an enemy. It's an iron giant. You can see the area kind of falling around it. You can see the events happening on the outside. That's probably the event that happens right before. You can tell the area is being, you know, attacked while we're going through it. So things are starting to fall all over the place while we actually breach into the inner sanctum. We fight one of these enemies. We fought this enemy already. It was a boss in Belsar's Wall. And ultimately, it crumbles. I'm going to assume that by the end of this dungeon, which is almost definitely a main story dungeon, that we will have our end result, and we'll have taken down one of their forward bases on the eastern side of things. Now, I don't think that these are going to be conclusive in terms of, like, final battles towards level 70 or anything like that, but I do think that they're going to play super important roles in the story in terms of getting a foothold and fighting back against the Garleans. We also get to see Lise in her Lady in Red outfit, finally. And we get to see the recreation of the scene between us and Lise from the actual trailer itself, where we jump forward, we're going to attack each other. And from this point on, we get some previews of skills. So we have Monk LB3 here. We have, is that Scholar? Yeah, Scholar LB3. We have one of the Dragoon's new skills. That's the stab. I can't remember what it's called. But that's one of their new attacks as well, where they stab, stab, stab. Also, this is a really big one. It's kind of hard to pause at the right time, but this is actually Dark Ixion, or at least it looks to be specifically Dark Ixion and not just Ixion. It's hard to get because of all the lightning, and I keep double-clicking. It's hard to get a really good image of it, but I'd have to imagine this is going to be another one of our like Odin Super Fate kind of things, as well as one of the wolves, like the Fenrir looking type wolf that we're going to see a little bit later. And I'm down for that because Ixion's a badass. Coral Regina and Prey Online were not good alternatives to Odin and Behemoth in Heavensward. So I'm really hoping that Ixion and the Fenrir wolf-looking thing are way more interesting in terms of super fates that we're going to be seeing. We also get to see Ralban. We get to, now this is an interesting scene. Kryl looks to be being locked away in some sort of, I couldn't tell if that's Garlean or Allegan, what we just saw right there, but she was like being pulled away into a separate entity, and I'm wondering if that has something to do with the interdimensional rift, or if that is just her getting mixed up with the Garleans and being captured. So then we have the Machinist LB3, nothing we haven't seen before. That's an enemy from Final Fantasy VIII. If you haven't played that game, there's mummies that, like, it's just a face that hides underground. That's what this reminds me of. We also get to see the Dark Knight, that's not their level 70 skill. Blood Spiller, no, is that their level 70 skill? I don't think Blackest Night was level 70. It's one of their new skills. It's the one that does the most damage in Grit plus Dark Arts. Oh, then here we go. You have the, here, let me slow this down real quick just so you can really enjoy it. Let's see. So this is the, well, we'll let it play out real quick. The Red Mage LB3, which is unfortunately not, I was hoping it would be like bam, 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 like a bunch of like flares and holies, and then bam, here we go. So it pulls from both magic pools, makes two giant pillars, and then explodes them both into it's probably, you know, a giant Verfer holy flare of some kind, and it's just a huge explosion, which we knew the Red Mage LB3 would be a giant AoE LB3 like Black Mage and Summoner, so it seems pretty on par with what we expect. We have another battle scene right here where the Garleans are again fighting against the Allied forces. Now, these guys are causing a lot of conversations because these are humanoid wolves, and there's actually concept art of them in what looks to be job-specific underwear. So it's become a rumor now that this will be a playable race in 5.0. That is still a rumor, but I thought these were just dudes wearing wolf masks until I saw the concept art of them where they have no shirts on, and they are indeed full-bodied, you know, they're covered in fur from head to toe. So I'm wondering if this will be one of our new races in 5.0 once we've liberated the area that they are considered native to. We also see that they are capable of wielding our kinds of weapons, so they are not an unintelligent race, or at least we could assume they are not an unintelligent race. They could also just be a new beast tribe, for all we know. It could be on top of the Kojin and the Anantas, that they're just a new one, and that's all there is to it. What else do we have here? So we have Dragoon LB3. We have Astro, that's them pulling the Lord with one of their minor arcane ability. There's the Black Mage triple cast ability, as well as you can see the crab that they're fighting. That's Refulgent Arrow for Bard. That's one of their new proc type skills. That's a Carlobos type enemy. And then you can also see that he was just using the Dark Knight LB3. That's the White Mage LB3 right there. Here's just a quick little zoom in of Pippin. You have Alisaie being swung at. You have Yugiri looking while she's on the ground. You have Meteor being cast. That's the other fate we assume is going to be like Behemoth and Odin. It was also in the benchmark trailer. So it's big. It's huge, as a matter of fact, if you see it compared to some of the other characters. You have Scholar using the Fairy Tether. You have the Flamethrower. You have the Ninja LB3 going off right here against the boss from the level 63 dungeon. Just a scene where there's an explosion in a Garian part. You have Thancred, you have Hilda. You have warriors using their new skill that's basically like Unchained for Deliverance. You have a Summoner summoning a Demi-Bahamut. You have White Mage. I think that's the Thin Air animation, if I'm not mistaken. Or it was... I saw a shield at the end there. I wonder if that was Divine Benison. Let me just watch it again real quick. Yeah, I see the shield at the end. I just don't remember if that's Thin Air. That might be Divine Benison. You have the Ninja, the Hellfrog Medium. You have the Samurai using their 3 cent attack right here. And I think the rest of it is just some minor story. Well, not minor story stuff, but, you know, stuff that we've kind of known and seen before. Lys fighting against... So that is almost definitely Estinian, by the way. I'm holding true to the fact that that's just Estinian right there. And our boy is back and ready to mess some shit up. Explosions, explosions. Let us, you know... Oh, explosions. You know, it looks like we're being attacked back. That looks like when we go to attack their gate, but we get attacked in return. Since it looks like we're firing, but stuff is on fire as well, so, you know, it's a back and forth. You have Hyen, you have Lys again in her lady in red outfit, and then it does the whole Final Fantasy XIV. Now, what's weird is there's a quote from Louis Soix that was on one of his tablets that was shared, I think, back in February by the development team, and it was basically it was a thing from Louis Soix where it talks about, I got to find the exact quote, unfortunately, or I'm not going to be able to call it. It was just on one of Louis Soix's tablets that was being repeated here. So I'm curious if they're just doing it because it's cool, or if it is going to play into some sort of prophecy that takes place in Stormblood regarding all of our characters. Oh, and here we are in a 1v1 versus Xenos, you know, kind of already on the back foot. Some people have also pointed out that the voice acting that's going on here, the voice acting you can't see, is actually... potentially belongs to the Warrior of Darkness, so I'm wondering if he's going to be making a return as well. At least they didn't do that stupid thing at the end like they did with Heavensward's launch trailer, where literally the last line of the main story was in the Heavensward launch trailer. I'm hoping that that wasn't the case with the Crimson, with the you know, the Louis Soix scripture thing that they repeated here towards the end. But we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, yeah, that's just a little bit of a breakdown of what's going on, my predictions based on what's going on in the story there. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I know I stumbled my way through it a little bit, but wouldn't be one of my videos without that. Anyway, I'm going to get this posted. I'm going to get back to my AMA. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And stay tuned, because I have some other videos to talk about. Dissidia is another one that we got to talk about, as well as the Senor Sabotender weapons. I'm going to do a video on all that. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, take care.